So this is Devlin, and I interspersed their point of views and switched over 2 chapters, Karis and Devlin, Karis and Devlin. So Devlin grew up in Sarayanon, where Karis is currently living, in a different part of the country. And he left for reasons I don't have time to explain now, but he left and he has now been living with this semi-nomadic tribe just north of the desert for 5 years. And he, at the very opening of the story, has just put in a request to the tribe for a formal adoption so that he would be a full tribe member. And he has done this because he wants to marry his beloved, and they can't do that under the people's law there unless he is a tribe member, or else she loses all of her rights as a tribe member. So, so he has waited until he felt like he had a good chance, and the word came back, not absolutely no, but you have to wait a year, and then we'll give our decision. And with a little bit more questioning, he finds out that that wasn't actually the elders' decision specifically, but it was actually more or less handed down from God, that they had authoritative word that this was, like, that they weren't allowed to let him in for another year. And so he obviously is shocked and kind of floored about that and upset and doesn't know why. I mean, what could possibly happen in a year that, you know, isn't already shuffled out now, all of that sort of thing. So that's where he is. Let's see. And yeah, and the only other thing is that you need to know is that Shifra is his fiance, or his intended bride. They're, I don't know, yeah. His beloved, who he wants to marry very badly, and this has been thwarted from him. So he has been, for the day and a half since he got that decision, he has basically been sulking by himself. He's a very broody sort of person, Devlin is. And so he just sort of closed up and has been trying to figure this out totally by himself. And in the scene before, Shifra's sister basically called him an idiot and says, she's hurting as much as you are, you need to go and talk to her. Because he's been avoiding Shifra as much as anyone else. So, yeah, and so Shifra is his love, and Ilias is the cook. He's over here for a few paragraphs. I found Shifra in deep discussion with Ilias when I returned to the camp circle after my morning of scouting. In addition to my usual gathering, I plan to make contact with those Andaman farmers I met last year, Shifra said. Is there anything you want me to buy from them instead of through the markets at Sidon? Ilias pursed his lips. He kept a mental tally of every last bit of the tribe's foodstuffs, rather than taking up space and pack weight with written lists. I would welcome another sack of that fine wheat or their oats for special occasions, and as much honey as you can manage. Their price last year was much better than what we got in Sidon. Shifra nodded. I'll do my best. Let me know if you think of anything else before we part ways. I will. Ilias saw me and reverted to his usual close-mouthed demeanor. His silent nod of greeting drew Shifra's attention to me as well. She pressed her lips together, the muscle in her jaw working as she clenched her teeth. My chest ached when I saw the hurt in her eyes and knew I hadn't been there to alleviate it, had caused some of it myself. She bowed slightly to Ilias. If you'll excuse me. He nodded and turned to one of the pots simmering at the edge of the fire. Shifra moved past me, arms crossed, silent. I fell into step beside her until she took a sharp corner and cut me off. I sidestepped to avoid tripping over a tent stake and the rope it secured, and when I looked up, she hadn't paused. A few long strides brought me back to her side. Shifra, please. Please what? She turned and looked up at me, chin set and green eyes narrowed. Tendrils of black hair floated around her face, lifted by the breeze. Her eyes were rimmed in red and her lips were chapped. I hesitated. She spun on her heel. I'm an idiot. She stopped. I don't know how to make it better, but I'll do whatever you ask. Anything? She didn't turn to look at me. Anything. She gestured toward the plateau's edge. Throw yourself off the cliff. I clenched my teeth and pulled a deep breath before the next attempt. All right, you don't want me to do anything. I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. Zipporah was right. I was stupid, and I can't take that back, but I'm trying to do the right thing now. Shifra didn't move. I took the risk of stepping forward, wrapping my arms around her and pulling her back against my chest. I bent my head to speak close to her ear. You're always so strong. I couldn't think, I couldn't stand the thought of being without you, and I just didn't consider how you must be feeling too. I can tell you haven't slept. You never forget the bond to protect your lips, but they're chapped. It's my fault. I'm sorry. I can't tell you how sorry. Her rigid stance relaxed bit by bit into my embrace. I should have come to you. We should have done this together. Forgive me. She drew in a deep breath and rested her head back on my shoulder. I forgive you. I'm not very happy with you, but I forgive you. She turned in my arms and met my gaze. Her expression no longer shuddered. Pain and worry pooled in her eyes and etched every line of her face. I pulled her close again and rested my cheek against her hair. We'll make it through this, love. We'll figure it out together. She sniffled and nodded against my robe. I'd never seen her cry, and it weakened my already shaky defenses. Stinging heat prickled behind my eyes, but before the gathering tears spilled, Shifra raised her head and managed a lopsided smile, wiping at the trails of wetness on her own cheeks. Look at us. She sniffled again. What will the rest of the tribe think when the two of us are reduced to tears? I don't care. She lifted her lips to brush mine with a light kiss. I love you. Then what were you doing with Ilias a little bit ago? I produced an exaggerated scowl. Why, do you think he likes me? Do I have a chance of catching his eye? She batted her lashes like a love-struck girl and giggled. There you go. Oh, stop there. So that's Devlin and Shifra. They're very sweet.